Shalom, shalom. Call halayim Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai Ba'ashem Rachak Wadash. And Shon Yukabada Gadawala Requab, the Quanyam Nawa Wa Shalayakim Nawa. And that's double honors to our elders and apostles of Great Millstone. And the Shalom Wabarakim Labakoyam Shalayah Sharala. And that is peace and blessings to the elect of Israel. And the peace and blessing to the confusion of faces. And also may a double portion of the Holy Spirit be put upon the brothers that are out there on the highways and byways, offering your bodies as a living sacrifice out there on the front lines. So I wanted to bring this out, and through the Spirit, all I did was type in riots in America because I wanted to see if there was any news going on concerning that prophecy specifically. And then the Spirit led me to this article. So I want to bring this out concerning Judah. So the title of this video is going to be somewhere along the lines of it's going to be Red Summer. Judah was a lion's whelp. All right. So this article is from time.com. It says, it just goes on and on how the race riots of 1919's Red Summer helped shape a century of American history. And a lot of our people don't know about what happened in 1919, which is now called Red Summer. All they know about is the civil rights movement that happened in the 50s and 60s, but this is very much significant history that goes along with the civil rights movement. And we're going to link all of that to Judah in the book of Genesis, the 49th chapter, Lord's will. So we're going to read just a little bit of this article, and then we'll go to that prophecy. We're going to skim around, jump around in this article because there's a lot of information. So it starts off first by saying, as Chicago on Monday marked the 100th. Oh yeah, and this article was, let me see. It was just written today, I'm pretty sure. That's how I came across it. But it says 4:33, so I guess that's when it came out today. But anyway, as Chicago on Monday marked the 100th anniversary of a week of violence there, Mayor Lori Lightfoot reminded her audience that the events of July 27th through August 3rd, 1919, reached far beyond that city and those days. Rather, they marked the peak of a wave of anti-black violence, which should say anti-Israelite violence, that rolled the United States into 1919. The season will come to be known as the Red Summer, a name coined by NCAA Field Secretary James Weldon Johnson to acknowledge the blood that was shed. The story of Red Summer is a story of a nation fraught from the clash between hope and threat, between the tensions of new dreams encountering entangled fears and rising until it finally exploded. Now we're going to jump down all the way right here. During that season, there were at least 25 major riots and mob actions across the country. According to Cameron McWriter's Red Summer, the summer of 1919 and the awakening of Black America. That was the name of his book. Hundreds of people, most of them black, so Jakes, were killed and thousands were injured and forced to flee their homes. Now we're going to jump down here. It says, what was going on in the United States? We're going to jump down to this one. He has subtitles that I like. Here it goes. What were the most important moments of the Red Summer? My book starts in April when Garswell Grove Baptist Church, a sharecropper's church, is burned down in rural Georgia. In May, there's a gathering in New York where the NAACP and others try to talk about federal lynching legislation. There's a big riot in Charlestown, May 10th and 11th. There's a terrible lynching in Ellisville, Mississippi, June 26th, and it just goes on and on. Chicago was the pinnacle. Washington, D.C. is right before. July 19th to the 24th, riots break out in Knoxville, Tennessee, August 30th and 31st, and Omaha, Nebraska in September 28th through the 29th. So there was so many riots breaking out, and all of this is known as what it says right here. These were the race riots of the 1919s, of that time period that's known as Red Summer. This all happened prior to the 50s and 60s civil rights movement. So with that being said, we're going to jump over here, and then we may keep going in that article. Genesis 49, as a matter of fact, will start at the top. It says, and Jacob called unto his sons. We're going to link that article and the race riots of the so-called black people to the prophecy of Judah. So this is Genesis 49, verse 1. And Jacob called unto his sons and said, gather yourselves together, that I may tell you that which shall befall you in the last days. So this is prophecy that we're going to read. This is how we know who are the biblical, true Israelites according to the Bible, which are in fact the so-called blacks, so-called Hispanics, and so-called Native Americans. So now, this is verse 8. It says, Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise, because Judah is the head tribe. Thy hand shall be in the neck of thine enemies, and starting with Judah, then all the tribes one day, very soon, will have our hands in the neck of all of our enemies. That's going to be a physical manifestation. That's a physical prophecy that's going to manifest. I should have said, but it starts with Judah. Thy hand shall be in the neck of thine enemies. Thy father's children shall bow down before thee. Judah, verse 9 is a point. Judah is a lion's whelp. Now let's go into this really quickly. We're going to look up the word whelp before we continue. Judah is a lion's whelp right here. The word whelp in Hebrew is gawar, and it says a cub, whelp, or young. And you know, when you're a cub or you're young, you're a whelp. That means you're in your youth and you're strong. You're at your strongest point physically, and who knows, maybe even mentally. So Judah is a lion's whelp. Even when you come over here to the translation comparison, you look at the CSB, it says Judah is a young lion, full of energy and strong. The ESV says Judah is a lion's cub. NLT, Judah, my son, is a young lion. All right. So now we go back and finish it out. Judah is a lion's whelp, a young lion, full of energy, full of youth, strong. From the prey, my son, thou art gone up. Judah was doing what? Judah was young, was strong in the 1919s, in the 50s and 60s, the civil rights movement, that red summer, all those race wars and riots. They were doing what? They were raising up because they wanted equality. Judah wanted equality. They wanted laws that benefited them. They wanted to live amongst the Edomites, of course, be equal to them once again, which of course is not biblical. That's why none of that worked out. But all of that is according to prophecy. That's how we know this is Judah. Judah was a lion's whelp. Now guess what? It goes on to say, he stooped down. He couched as a lion, and as an old lion, who shall rouse him up? Because guess what? Now we're talking about, let's just calculate from the 50s and 60s. We're now in 2019, so we're talking about what, 60 to 70 years later now. 60 to 70 years later, Judah is an old lion. Judah's now laid back, chill, no more riots. They're okay with being under Esau. They're okay with oppression. And I'm talking about Judah and ultimately our entire nation as a whole. They're just fine with the state that they're living in. They're fine with living in hell. They're fine with having the lowest of the low healthcare, the lowest of the low communities, the lowest of the low food, the lowest of the low education. But not when they were a lion's whelp. Not back in the 1919s when Red Summer was happening. Not back in the 50s and 60s. They were strong. They were energetic. They were fighting. They were raising up all those riots that were happening. But now Judah's all soft. Judah's soft. Judah's just laying back, chilling, smoking weed, getting high, don't want to work, don't want to do nothing, just chilling and relaxing. But guess what? The time is going to come in which the Lord is going to put that young spirit back into Judah. And Judah's going to rise up and start these race wars and riots. And that's biblical prophecy. But with that being said, I wanted to, we're done with that article, man. That was a point in that article. But I wanted to show you this too, because just to show you furthermore that Judah is an old lion now, you can just look at the so-called black man on a physical, on a carnal level, and you can see that he's just soft now. And what's the main factor that you can tell that our people are soft? Because they're cutting off their beards. Men are supposed to grow out their beards. We grow hair on our face for a reason. Now look at the picture of the lion right here. Our people are feminine. They look soft. They look like women now, cutting their beards all the way down, or even just shaving it off completely. And even some people just leaving that little bit of hair, a little tiny bit of hair on the very end of their chin, trying to look pretty, but they look soft now. Look at this. I was just looking up the picture of the lion, and of course it brings up pictures of Lion King. And then I came down to this one right here. It said real life lion. And look at it. Real masculine with its mane, right? So I came down here, and which one did I see? Look at it, looking real masculine. Why do male lions have manes? So I came across this picture, and that moved me through the spirit to look up this. First and foremost, what is a mane? It says a growth of long hair on the neck of a horse, lion, or other animal. And then I was like, okay, I typed in this from what I seen in that picture. Why does a lion have a mane? The mane has often been viewed as a shield that protects a male's neck during fights against other males, but lions mostly attack each other on the back and hips. Instead, the size and coloration of the mane serves as a signal to other lions about the male's fitness, similar to the showness of the peacock's tail. So the size of the mane, meaning the hair that the lion grows, the size of that mane was to show what? It was a signal of the lion's fitness, meaning his masculinity. That proves that we're supposed to have long beards. We're supposed to have long manes, if you will, to show our dominance, to show our masculinity, to show our fitness, that we're what? Alpha males, you see? But now Judah is the main one of our nation that's a daggone homosexual. And if you don't believe me, just go down to Atlanta one time. Just go down to Atlanta one time and look at the majority of our people down there, goddamn homosexuals, all flamboyant, wearing heels. I'm serious, wearing heels, tight jeans, doing their makeup better than goddamn women. I mean, it's a shame. Fully shaven beards, it looks ridiculous now. Our people have become soft. They were what? They once were a lion's whelp, but now they're old lions, all soft and flamboyant, just sitting back, relaxing, not having a goddamn care in the world. They're chill. But guess what? It says, who shall rouse him up? Because the Lord is going to be the one ultimately to rouse back up Judah. And Judah is going to spark off these race wars and these riots that are soon to come in America. And then after that, all the other tribes are going to fall after that same sequence. But of course, let me just say this too before I end off the video. Our job as spiritual men is not to fall into that same kind of a spirit. When we see these race wars and riots happening, we are to continue to pray, to remain spiritual, and understand that we're supposed to be watching the prophecies and not be a part of the prophecies, as the head Shar Kassab likes to say down here in the DC camp. We are to be watching the prophecies, not a part of the prophecies. So I just wanted to bring that out just to show a little bit of history of what was happening during 1919 and link that to Judah today. I do pray that this video was edifying. Call Halayim Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai Ba'ashem Racha Kudash. Double honors to our elders and apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. Keep fighting. We're almost out of here. Shalom.